Sean here. It is time for the Revelstoke Mayor Report with Mayor Gary Sauls. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Sean, or should I say King Farquaad?
That's right.
There we go.
How did you like that, eh?
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun show. It obviously proved that the town enjoyed it, and there's a demand for it or a need for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, just awesome.
And I saw you standing. Thanks for the stand.
You're welcome.
All of us actors, we're all little, we all need the attention and the love. So thanks.
I was in awe. The talent that we have in the community is just awesome. So thanks for all that all of you did. It's a wonderful thing.
Well, thank you. So Gary, it's been a little calmer, not too calm, but just enough to breathe a little over the last little while. So we've got budgets now coming up. Yeah.
Yep. We've got, so I'll just speak a little bit about the budget. So the guide to Budget 2020 is out. We're asking for comments from the public electronically by 4 p.m. March 4th. And then if anyone wants to make comments publicly or personally, 5 p.m. February 27th. I believe we're at the, I'll have to find out. I can't remember whether at council chambers or at the community center. Anyway, I'll clarify that. Definitely, we're wanting to hear other people come forward and see what they have to say about the budget.
Well, if memory serves me, the last few budgets that came out, not a lot of people show up to them.
Not really. I think this year with the way the budget guide has been prepared, it's easy to read and understandable. And I think that's going to make all the difference in the world for people looking through it and saying, yeah, I like this, or no, this is what I have a question about. So I think we might get a little more response.
Okay. Now, the reality is that every time that there's a tax increase, it's going to fall on your shoulders, my shoulders, taxpayer shoulders, not necessarily for those visiting.
No.
And that's one of the bigger issues. No matter what happens, it's the same households that are being taxed for these increases, which is problematic. It is a huge problem, right?
It really is. And there is no way at this point with either federal or provincial legislation for us to say, well, we're going to put a tax on people as they come to visit, other than we have the MRDT tax, which is 2% on accommodation. So it does fall on the shoulders of all of us who live here. We're looking at a 6% tax increase. It's about $100 per year, or this year, over and above last year, based on an average house, which is $495,000 in assessment. So
I think at the end of the day, the biggest issue that most people really run into is if they're making their mortgage payments and they are living just with their own family and they're making it work.
Right.
They're compensating for those that, and it's fine. You're renting out your house and making a large amount of money per month, but they're paying the same amount of taxes as you are, or I am, or the neighbors are, but they're also making it in that month.
Yes,
as what we're not.
Yeah,
and that's the struggle.
Yeah, it really is a struggle.
It is hard to see neighbors make that type of money per year and not pay for those types of things, right?
And the only way that we can address that is as we move forward with the short-term rental policy is dealing with a business license and that sort of thing. It's not like we can add an additional tax.
No.
There might be parcel taxes that we're able to add as we move along, but at this point in time, those things are all in discussion. We're not able to define exactly what we can do moving forward.
Are there any other communities that we've talked to that are in similar boat that have had the same obstacles in terms of their short-term rental issues or how their tax dollars are coming in or not coming in from those particular types of rentals?
Well, I'm not sure if there's any community that's defined exactly how they can do things better. Some communities are using a parcel tax. I'm not sure it's on short-term rentals or just on different abilities to use to get taxes for more infrastructure build out, that sort of thing. So, we look at that and say, okay, what's going to be the best way moving forward? And so our staff are working on that, and we've just now started that discussion after a couple of year hiatus to basically go forward and say, what's the best way to kind of deal with this so that it's going to be user friendly, but the user pays, not the rest of the community.
I can't imagine this isn't going on in all over BC, maybe outside as well, but just it's such a huge change
It really is, and so we've seen so much change even in the last 5 years since I've been on council. Is things have morphed really quickly. A lot of people opting for the short-term rental way of making a financial end. So we're going to be quick to move on this, or as quick as we can, to put things in place that are actually prudent for the community.
Excellent. Now, what do you got?
Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about the wayfinding strategy and RMI funds. There seems to be a little bit of confusion in the community over that sort of thing. Wayfinding strategy was put together by the Resort Municipality Initiative group, and so they came up with a plan as far as signage and whatnot. And it's like over $3 million kind of over several years. This first phase is paid for 100% by RMI funds, which amounts to $550,000. And as we move forward, we will have funds coming from other ways of getting it, like grants. We're really good at writing grants here in Revelstoke. So in the last few years, we've had $7.5 to $8 million in grant funding bestowed upon the community. So this wayfinding thing is a strategy moving forward. So I don't believe if there's funds, it may just stop or do a hiatus part way through, or
well, it's over 10 years.
Yeah, it's over 10 years.
It's almost the wording of it is what I think irks people. And if it was a wayfinding grant strategy, it's a different word, right? If it's coming from grants, fine. If it's not, people are annoyed at other things that aren't being taken care of.
And so one of the biggest things that I want the community to know is RMI funds cannot be used for building a new sewer plant. They're not used for filling potholes. It's used for marketing for tourism community. And so there is a group that meets and they make suggestions as to how those funds would best be met or used by the community.
What's ironic about it is, and some people have it's sort of a gray area, but it's a valid point, which is with tourism, we have traffic flow, and especially in the summertime, we've got lots of Zoomers coming through with their RVs and lots of traffic flow that park all along Victoria, et cetera, et cetera. So you're talking about more traffic, more usage of our roads, toilet flushes, et cetera. So it's ironically, it's connected to it, but the dollars can't be provided, and that's a federal decision, is it not?
Yeah, and
nothing to do with. Okay.
Yeah, and so when we look at these sorts of things, it's like we're excited about this as a strategy moving forward. We think it's a beautiful thing for the community, but also we're not wanting to put burden on our taxpayers. We want to basically say, how can we fund this with external sources of funding and move forward on that? And that's kind of what the whole process, why it's over 10 years. Let's see how we can do this, what's going to be the best way to move forward. It is a strategy. It's not cut and dried that, this is the way it's going to be. There's lots of things that are going to morph as we move along. We just want to make sure the community knows they shouldn't be worried that their taxes are going to go up to pay for signs. We're going to work through that sort of thing with external funding.
Now, there was some discussion on social media that I'm sure you may have saw or may have missed it, but I think Cody commented on something to the regards of it's 2% from heads and beds, and that's basically charging all of the hotels and those that are registered as Airbnbs and that type of thing, and they put into a fund, and that fund is utilized for these types of things.
Yep.
One of the bigger issues is, like you were saying, the short-term rentals that maybe benefit from that but aren't pitching in, and those dollars are what would often offset some of those other costs too, in terms of more draw for tourism. It has to be tourism related, but that's one of the other issues.
That's exactly it. And so as we work through the short-term rental program, we would like to see everybody be collecting these taxes. These taxes are sent directly to the provincial government. They collate everything, they send it back to the city, and we have the RMI initiative, so it goes into that fund, and then it's dispersed from there.
Okay, and that's dispersed from the city, but it's got to be in that category.
Correct, and it's done through the RMI committee.
It does seem sometimes like if we get grant dollars or whatever the case is, or this pocket of money belongs here, well, why can't we transfer it over here? Like the slush fund, like the snow slush fund. If, like, let's say for 2020, we had zero snow, like none whatsoever. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have a surplus of dollars, but you can't take that money and go put it into roads. You need it.
No, I mean, we can transfer some of the money, we can transfer into different reserves internally on some of that. But the prudent thing is to kind of keep it there so that we know that we've got it to cover that. With RMI, you can't. Those funds are directly attributed to marketing.
Okay. And is there anything going on with QP?
Yeah, I want to actually just mention, so QP and the city have ratified their agreement. They've come up with a 5-year term, so they've got their whole plan for 5 years. From 2019, they get 2.5%, and the rest of the years, 2020 through 2023, 2% each year. We're quite pleased with that because that falls in line with what other communities have agreed on as well. And it seems to be a thing that the QP employees are comfortable with. And there's some, some benefits involved in there as well over and above that will bring them a little better, a couple more sick days and that sort of thing. So I think overall, I'm pleased, and I'm pleased that QP's comfortable with that agreement. And I think it's the best thing for our community moving forward.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gary.
All right. Thank you.